Give me 30 minutes and I'll convince you of anything.
Starring Mark Steele, Maria McCurlane and Pete Sinclair.
Welcome to the Mark Steele Solution. Each week I usually like to come up with a radical solution to change the world and make it a better place for all of us, and this week's proposal concerns England. What is it about England that makes everybody so miserable? For instance, if we were in America, this wouldn't have happened like this tonight, because the comedian would have come on and gone, "How you all doing in Chicago? Woo, woo, woo!" And you'd have all been going, "Woo, woo, woo, woo!" And they'd have been going round you all individually, going, "How you doing there, sir? Nice to meet you. How you doing there, madam? Hey, good to see you here." Good. And you'd have all been answering back, going, "I'm doing just fine, buddy. I'm doing just fine." But you couldn't do this in England, because you'd go around saying, "How you doing there, buddy?" And you'd say, "Oh, I've had a bit of a bad back lately." So once you get to 34, every day's a bonus, I suppose. And so that's why tonight's proposal is that anyone born in England should be deported. The first thing I really should clarify here is that I am, of course, talking about England and not Britain, because there are other bits of Britain that aren't England. For instance, the Scots get very annoyed if they get thought of as being part of Britain. One of the things that annoys them is apparently the national anthem, because one of the verses is apparently anti-Scottish. And when I first heard this, I thought, well, who cares, really? I mean, you shouldn't really know what the words to the first verse are, really. But then I looked down there and I thought, God, I'm not surprised that they get annoyed, because the third verse of the national anthem goes, "O Lord who looketh over us, O God Almighty One, never trust a jock because they make a bloody awful row with them poxy bagpipes, and ha-ha, lost to Costa Rica in the first round of the World Cup." The English, we have to say, are brought up to think that we are naturally superior because we had an empire. Like, for instance, when Captain Scott went to the South Pole and Amundsen the Norwegian went at the same time, and Amundsen said, "I think we'll get there first because we've got the best boats and the best maps, and we know more about the climate, and we're fitter, and we've got more food, and we know much more about fish. We're bound to get there first. I think so." And Captain Scott said, "No, dear boy, you're wrong there, old bean. You see, I think we'll get there first because we're English." And, as a consequence, froze to death, of course. But we're all taught at school, still brought up to believe that we are the best because we're used to rule the world.
The British Empire, the largest, sunniest and most splendid empire of all. But how did it all begin? London, 1782. General Uffington is having breakfast with his charming wife, Mrs. Uffington.
Oh, look, Cecil, you've got a letter from abroad. Airmail.
Oh, let me see it. Dear General, I wonder if you would be so kind as to invade our country in order that we might learn the game of cricket. We are particularly keen to understand the LBW law. Yours, hopefully, the Nawab of India. Oh, yes, look here. P.S. Please bring an army in case you should need to shoot some of us. Oh, damn, what am I doing Friday, dear?
You're invading Kenya Friday, darling.
Oh, yes. Mind you, Saturday's the Falkland Islands. That's usually a quick one. I suppose I could fit them in.
Yes, it was this sort of self-sacrifice that was to ensure the backward nations of the globe were to enjoy the benefits of British rule. But what a mess we found when we got there.
Just look at the state of this place. I've never seen such an overgrown garden.
That's because it is a jungle.
You're telling me. You, get a lawnmower. How on earth do you ever expect to play croquet if you let your lawn and get in this sort of a mess? And you, go and get some gnomes for the rockery.
Things were looking up, and by 1862, India had won second prize in the Garden of the Year award at the Chelsea Flower Show.
Oh, well done, India.
Lovely elephants this year.
Meanwhile, in Africa, the happy tribespeople were being taught the essential rules of civilized behaviour.
Now, you use this butter knife in the company of a bishop, and this one during the Oxford and Cambridge boat race.
Another satisfied customer. But all good things must come to an end, and eventually the time had come for us to take our leave.
Goodbye.
Please don't go.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Gandhi, we've got to. You really are old enough to look after yourselves now, you know.
And thus the Empire entered a new phase. A phase of partnership and cooperation, of commonwealth and having to listen to these people. Although, if you ask me, we ought to go back there and sort them out. I mean, the French haven't given their bits back, have they? Typical bloody frogs. Look at that business with the lamb. They think they own the world.
It's the same attitude when it comes to sport. We think it's natural that we should win. So, if England ever lose at sport, there's a national outcry. But why should England win? England is only 1/5 of the size of Madagascar. You don't get commentators in Iceland going, "We lost 1-0 to Brazil, we're the greatest nation on earth. We must sack that Graham Taylorson." They just go, "Oh, well, we drew with Malta, that's not bad." Because we think we're naturally better, if we do lose, there's a huge inquest on who's to blame.
Well, what a dismal night for England. Long faces in the studio. Beaten by Norway. Beaten by Finland. And Luxembourg. And Israel. And Monaco. All on the same night. What a disastrous Eurovision Song Contest it's been. Laurie McMenemy, what went wrong?
Well, Jimmy, I'm ashamed to be British. I mean, we had no fresh ideas, there was no tune in the middle of it. I mean, the harmony was all over the place. I'll blame the singer, Jimmy. We've got to suck her.
I have to disagree with you there, Laurie. We're simply not producing the songs we used to. I mean, if you look at Puppet on a String, Congratulations, Boom Bang Bang, they're world-class songs.
Oh, Jimmy, man, we've got the songs, we're just not picking them. I mean, that song tonight, it had no daft words in it, man. I mean, and we've left out songs like Itsy Witsy Fitsy Bitsy Ditsy. I mean, what are we playing at, man?
Laurie, I'm going to have to interrupt you. We have Tina Maria on the line. Tina, what went wrong?
Well, obviously, I'm disappointed for the song, you know, but at the end of the day, it gave 110%, you know, and it's a game of 3 verses. I've always said that, you know.
Yeah, well, bloody crap, woman. You've got a voice like a frog. I mean, there's fans back here, man. Loyal fans would have killed themselves because of you.
So, a sad day for British singing, but we leave you with a look at tomorrow's headlines. Tuneless Tina, says the Mirror. The Star leads with Eurovision Pong Contest, whilst the Sun says it's Boom Banger Bollocks. Good night.
See, the reality is we are on the slide. Because the world is like a race, and all the different countries are racing along, and there's America at the front, Japan catching them up bit by bit now, Germany a little bit behind them, and we're right at the back somewhere now going, I'm not as fit as I used to be. And every year somebody overtakes us, like apparently Italy now has overtaken us in all the economic graphs and leagues and things. So now in the race, Italy's going, "Hey, England, you're a sheep now, eh?" And this is what makes everyone in England so miserable. You're taught that England is great, but as soon as you're old enough to notice things, you realise that, in fact, everything in England is falling to bits. Like, for instance, near where I live, in Brixton, there's an underground station there, and they've got an escalator in it, and it broke down in September of 1989. And then they mended it in March of 1991. Now, that meant that it took longer to fix that escalator than it did to bring down Thatcher, shoot Ceausescu, bring down the Berlin Wall, release Nelson Mandela, get rid of the poll tax, get 1 million people into the Gulf to win a war, and for David Icke to become the daughter of God. How can it possibly be quicker to do all those things than to mend a poxy staircase? Well, because you can't get the parts, you see, that's why. You see, the Berlin Wall's on a green form, you see. But I mean, this is on South East Division, it's not the same at all. And another thing, if you lived anywhere else except for England, just look at all the food you'd have. You'd have French cooking and Greek cooking and Italian and Indian and Chinese and Arab cooking. But who could possibly get excited about English cooking?
Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to make a traditional English delicacy. Corned beef, carrots, more carrots and mashed potato. Now let's start with the carrots. Here's some I put on to boil 6 weeks ago. Just another few days and there'll be a lovely puddle of tasteless orange water. Now, while we wait for those, open the tin of corned beef and arrange on the plate. Like so. Oh, and let's not forget the potatoes. There are so many ways to cook a potato. Sautéed, roasted in garlic butter, tossed in a mayonnaise dressing, or my favourite, put into water and taken out again. But I'm buggered if I can be bothered to do that tonight, so let's use some instant mash. There we are. Now serve with some orange squash and you've got an ideal meal to tempt the family every Monday night for the rest of your life.
I sometimes wonder what foreigners must think when they come over here. They must think, oh, it's about 10:30, we'll go out and we'll have a little bit of a drink like we do back home, maybe have a nice little bite to eat, so they go to the English pub. And they're about halfway through their drink, and they must hear this bell. And they must think, I wonder what that bell means. Must mean there's going to be a carnival or something. But they don't realise it's a bell that changes the whole course of the evening, because up until then, like, the landlord will be going, hello, Sid, me old son, I saw you in here with your missus the other day. She's looking well. You're going on holiday this year. Ding, 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 ding. Get out of it! Come on, bloody get out! It's 11:30, 11, get out! Go on out! Well, everything in England is shut. I reckon that there is probably a secret organisation somewhere that is responsible for ensuring that everything is closed the minute you get to it. Old lady approaching public toilet in Grimshaw Street. Intercept for usage prevention.
On Thursdays. Oh, have to wait till tomorrow, I suppose.
Nice work, number 2.
Think nothing of it, sir. I won't rest until every building in this town is closed on unpredictable days at illogical times.
Libraries, swimming pools, everything is shut. Or else it's like the baker's, which does stay open, but by about 11:30 in the morning, all they've got left to sell is a purple cake with a green sweet on it. And worst of all is the council. If something like your heating breaks down, trying to get them to fix it is like an episode of Challenge Annika. And England is so bureaucratic. In Europe, if you want to do something like, say, hire a car, then as a rule you just go there and they go, yeah, he looks all right, go on in. But in England, to do anything like that, you've got to take heaps and heaps of identification and documents, and you get there and they'll always manage to catch you out. No matter how many things you take, they'll catch you out eventually. Passport? Yeah, got one of them, cool size. Driving licence? Yep. Medical card? Yep. How many bills have you got with your name on it? 3. Sorry, you need 4. Got 5. Ha 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 ha. But they'll get you eventually. Birth certificate. Yep. Swan. I'm sorry. Have you got a swan with your name and address on it, please? What do you know, the bird that you get in a pond? You got one? Of course I have it. And then there's this pathetic attempt at trying to make out that they're being helpful. Have you got a friend who could bring his swan in? So clearly then, the problem with England is this huge gap between what we're taught and brought up to believe about the idea of England's greatness and the reality. See, other countries are proud, but because they don't expect to always be the best, they're not constantly disappointed and miserable. This is why boys of 6 you get in English playgrounds going 2 World Wars and 1 World Cup. You wouldn't get this in other countries. You wouldn't get kids in Luxembourg doing this, would you? Going 2 4th places in the Eurovision Song Contest and 1 radio station, would you? So, we're forever trying to prove to the whole world that we're better. That's why we refuse to learn other languages. We think it's our perfect right to walk up to a tribesman in the middle of Central Africa and go, excuse me, is there a public toilet in here? Oh, Bloody hell, none of them speak a word of English. And yet, when people come over here, they just get no help at all.
Yes, love?
Bread, please.
What do you want, love? A bed?
Bread.
Bed coming. Oh, bread, right. Bloomer, farmhouse or a cob, or there's a purple cake with a green sweet on it.
Bread.
Oh, my God. Now, look, do you want thick sliced? Thick sliced. I've got a right one here, don't I? I don't know what I'm talking about, honestly. He's never heard of thick slice. Listen, darling, thick slice. You know, with the whatnots on the doings. You know, the doings. The doings. D-O-I-G-N-S.
And this desire to always prove that we're better when underneath we know that we're not means that we're always bottling up our emotions. Don't let Johnny Foreigner see you flinch. That's the idea. Just because your head's been blown off in a trench. Keep a stiff upper neck, boy. Even on a train, there's the English way of behaving.
Morning.
Oh, God, it's Evans. I'll pretend I haven't seen him. Oh, God, now he's having a heart attack. I know, I'll do the crossword.
Help me.
You'd think he'd at least have the decency to do it in the second class. Oh, God, now there's some cowboys and Indians got on. I suppose I'll just pretend I haven't seen them. Only the English could have such a ridiculous attitude to nudity.
Right, family. We are going to change into our swimwear. Not yet. Do you want people to suspect that we have genitals? First, we are going to build a wall. I've surrounded the area with landmines, posted sentries on every pebble. The RAF are patrolling the airspace above to ward off any prying parachutists. And all fish within a 50-mile radius have been blindfolded.
Daddy, the ice cream man's been blown up.
Good. That'll teach the pervert. Look at your own knob in future.
So clearly then, living in England is doing none of us any good at all. But before we get to the Mark Still solution, let's hear from our regular correspondent, the voice of the cul-de-sac, Mr. Cul-de-sac. England? Don't talk to me about England. It's full of foreigners. Look at the local council. They were going to twin this town with a town in Holland. I said, I'm not having it. You know where that's going to end up, don't you? Windmills in the garden, ruining the rockery. That's where turning the kitchen into a canal. I've only just fixed the damp tulips all over the carpet. That's what's going to happen. Painters walking all over the house, chopping their ears off all over the place. Who's going to sweep them up? It's an outrage. And what about the money they wasted on that English Civil War? It was a waste of ratepayers' money. They could have spent that money hanging people. And what about English workmen? Well, they're not workmen, they're lazy manures, that's what they are. Sitting in them British Telecom vans all day long, not doing a scrap of work. Oh, no, I'll sit there all day long watching them. They don't do a bloody thing all day long. It's an outrage. I've a good mind to catch them at it one of these days, open the back of that van and find them all in there, because they're not working, they're playing cricket and snooker and squash and swimming and flying around the world on holiday. That's what they're doing. It's an outrage. I saw one of them sitting in the park. I went up to him. I said, I hope you know it's ratepayers' money you're wasting. He said, but it's Sunday, Mr. Cul-de-sac. I said, I don't care. It's ratepayers' money. 47 pence for a pound of English apples. I've a good mind to get plums in future. It's an outrage. There was a bloke in the laundrette yesterday. Said, deja vu. I said, don't you come in here using foreign words. You should use English ones like brick. You won't catch me using foreign words, or my name's not Cul-de-sac. I've been writing some letters here. I've been writing some letters to the government. Here's one. Dear government, last week I won a coconut. I got it home, found it was foreign. What's wrong with English ones? Here's another one. Dear government, I got a dishcloth that was made in Hong Kong. Now you tell us you've got to give it back to the Chinese. It's an outrage. Here's another one. Why? That's as far as I got with that one, but it's coming on, don't you think? Thank you, Mr. Cul-de-sac. Now, Some people might think, well, yes, you're right about the English, but why deport people? Surely it's enough to just send them on holiday. But the trouble is that 2 weeks just isn't long enough, because people would just cheat by acting like they're still at home. Good evening. You like to take a seat?
Oh, no, thank you. We bought our own.
Yes, we don't trust Italian chairs, do we, dear?
No, they've got funny knees, the Italians.
OK, you want to see the menu?
No, thank you.
We bought our own. There you are, dear.
Let's see. Double egg and chips. Oh, the gammon looks nice.
Are the baked beans fresh?
I'm sorry, I must ask you to leave.
Doesn't bother me, mate. We brought our own waiter.
Hello, Sid. Hello, Martha.
Hello, Nosha.
What are you having?
Corned beef, potatoes and a puddle of tasteless orange water, please, Nosha. Oh, and turn that bloody racket off.
Oh, that reminds me, Sid. You'd better pop home to England and pick up the telly. The one in the hotel's got nothing but foreign programmes.
Oh, and while you're there, bring back the garden, will you? You can't trust these Italian ones.
Yeah, they're full of ice cream and popes.
So, I think we can all safely say, then, that there's only one way to make English people stop thinking that we're naturally superior, to stop us feeling miserable because the country's on the slide, to make us want to learn other languages, to appreciate different types of food, and to be able to enjoy ourselves overseas without thinking, oh, soon be back in Ipswich then. The only possible answer is to deport the entire population. Just think how much better it would be for a start. Instead of bottling up our emotions, we'd learn to let them all out. Because the English seem calm sometimes, but inside here we're far tenser than the foreigners. So at the moment, for instance, the English drive, going, come on, oh, come on, you can get through there. Oh, God, now I'm having a heart attack. Mustn't let Evan see. But the Italians go, hey, I feel better now, eh? So it wouldn't be long before, under our scheme, the English were doing the same. Get out of bloody way! Who do you bloody think you are? You're not in bloody Cornwall now. Who do you think you're going to bloody take for it? Get out of it! Lovely all that. I'll take the car. And instead of being uptight about our bodies and touching and things, after a while you'd even get blokes on building sites going, oh, hello, morning, how you doing there, Ted? Mwah. And, of course, our attitude to sport would change as well, because after a couple of years in Iceland, even John Motson would give up expecting to win. And the supporters would have to change as well, because instead of trying to convince yourself that England still rules the world by setting fire to a Spanish bus shelter, you'd have a lot less to prove. So, for instance, if you became Swiss and you wanted to show everybody how good you were, you'd just go round the terraces at half-time giving out chocolates. There you are, not bad, eh? In fact, imagine if the Mark Still solution had been in operation throughout history.
Captain Scott, I think we'll get to the South Pole first. We've got the best boats, the best dogs, we're used to the climate, we know more about fish, and we're fitter. You'll be a week behind us.
No, no, dear boy, you're wrong. You see, we're not going. We know bugger all about ice. Because we're English. Isn't that right, Oates?
Oh, well, in that case, I'm going inside. And I may be there for some time.
Now, under the Mark Still solution, you would still have to have really tight immigration controls, of course, to stop English people getting back into the country. So you'd keep the same customs officers, but their job would be to make sure that nobody English sneaked back into England.
All right, sunshine, where do you think you're going?
Me? I mean, moi? Je suis allé à England.
Oh, no, you don't, madam. You're English, huh? We don't want your sort over here, mucking up the country with your fish and chips and Rule Britannia blaring out of the Albert Hall. Now, clear off.
Well, really?
Excuse me, mate, can I get past, please?
Yes, sir, through you go.
Just a minute, why are you letting him in?
Because he's wearing a turban.
Yes, but he was obviously born in England. He's got an English accent.
Well, that never bothered us before, did it? Let's try the cricket test. Oi, mate, what team do you support?
India?
Yeah, that's all right, you can come in.
Look, this isn't fair. You're just making up the rules as you go along.
Sorry, madam. Force of habit. Now, why don't you go back to someone else's country where you belong?
And so, with the Mark Steel solution in operation, what would life be like for a typical English family abroad? Hey, sit there, Martha. Sit down.
Only if it's an Italian seat, Marco.
Yes, the Italians have got lovely knees.
You want to see the menu?
Nah, just tell Luigi to cook us anything he fancies.
Yes, surprise us. Oh, and make sure there's at least 3 things in it that we've never heard of.
Yeah, to think I got to the age of 60 before I tasted that prosciutto.
I never realised it was ham. I always thought it was some sort of vomit.
Hey, you sure you don't want the corned beef, huh? With a nice tasteless orange puddle, huh?
Leave it out, mate. Oh, and turn that music up. This is one of my favourites.
Hello, Sid. Hello, Martha.
Hello, Nosha.
Here, England is a cheater.
You could say that again, mate.
How's your garden?
Oh, it's lovely. It's full of ice cream and pokes.
And so, with all the English abroad, let's join a typical evening at the Dog and Duck in Clapham.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, madam. Good evening to your children. Can I get you a drink, or would you like to try some of our typical English pub grub? We have beef en croûte, roast duckling with orange sauce, and 12 different types of cheese, all absolutely free.
What does that bell mean, mate?
It is 10 seconds past 11. Things should start to warm up now, eh? Ah, hello, Olga.
Yeah, hello. England are doing well in the Eurovision Song Contest. They drew with Malta.
Aye, that's not bad, mate. Tylerson's doing a good job.
Yes, it was a good decision to pick Itsy Witsy Fitsy Bitsy Fitsy. Have you had a busy day at work, Olga?
Oh, yeah. We finished the escalator at Brixton. It broke down last night.
It took a whole day to fix?
Well, in the morning, we were fixing the central heating where Annika Rice used to live.
Nice going, mate.
Ah, good evening, madame.
Pardonnez-moi, je voudrais le pain avec le quoi passe le feuille.
Comment? Ah, bread with on the doings. Wait a minute. You used to run the bakers. Why are you still here?
Well, I found out I was French all along. My parents were so ashamed they kept it from me. Bon appetit.
Hey, England, it's a greater now, huh?
Yes, and it now boasts a semi-tropical climate with perfect weather all year round and several miles of golden beaches within easy walking distance of the idyllic lagoon where you will wish your dreams could match reality.
Yeah, and we got rid of Annika Rice.
And so there we have it. Surely now everyone in England would happily agree to being forcibly deported to somewhere they've never been in their lives before. But the choice is yours. And so, all of those in favour of our wonderful proposal, and all of those against. Right. Well, we'd better all leave now then. Thank you very much for listening to the Mark Steel Solution. Good night.